Ready?
Alright, so we first want to start off by giving all praises to
Yahweh, Hashem, Yahshua, Hashem, Akdas.
the apostles and elders of GMS who do well. Honor and salutations to those who are of the hopeful elect and are out there teaching the word, sincerely the truth. Alright, so we are at the Founders Memorial, which is on the Beacon Street side of the Boston Commons where we teach at. We teach on the Tremont side. This is the Beacon Street side. And we just wanted to continue on that mode of, I guess GMS field trips. What I was thinking in my mind. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but there's a lot of history here in Boston that I'll say that gets mistold. Right? They got if you go down to the Tremont side, they got an information center, and that's where they start their so-called quote unquote freedom trail. And they take, these people on this excursion through the city of Boston, and there's a lot of irony that goes with calling something a freedom trail when, this country was heavily ran by the slave market, right? So we're at the Founders Memorial for who's this guy? John Winthrop and William Blackstone. On the other side, we'll get over there in just a second, but. It was basically a depiction or a picture of John Winthrop's first trek here to the United States of America. When I personally was reading up on it, I couldn't find much of it. I'll say real history because America, they paint their heroes and their the people that they honor as though they're these kind, benevolent people, but we know the history of what happened here in America. So I just wanted to read these top two quotes and maybe the third one, and then somebody can get we'll say Malachi, yeah. So the first one says, "For we must consider that we shall be as a city upon a hill. The eyes of all people are upon us, so that if we shall deal falsely with our God in this work we have undertaken, we shall be made a story and a byword through the world." John Winthrop, right? So that's the guy who's on the other side of this. So the statement is an interesting one, right? Because matter of fact, go to what's that? Psalms 55. Psalms 55 and 51. Somebody get that real quick. Is it 50 and 21? 55, 20. Yeah, somebody give me that. Anybody? Yeah, Psalms. I got it.
He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with them.
Right, so to say, if we shall deal falsely with our God in this work we have undertaken, that's what they did. When they came up against the people that were already in this land, which were the North American Indians, right? Which, me personally, I want to stop saying the word Indian. The Gadites here, right? When they treated them the way they treated them, those early conquistadors and then the Puritans up here in the North, they did deal falsely with the Heavenly Father, because those were the people of the Heavenly Father, right? Keep going on that one.
He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with them.
Right. So this is the history that should be told. When you see these monuments, when you see these statuettes, if you will, of all these different historical people, the story should be told about the harsh things that they did, man. Because without those harsh things, they wouldn't have been able to conquer and take over this land, because there were people already in this land. And really, even in their harshness, they had a hard time. The story, when I remember being in elementary school, junior high, learning about the Puritans and the Pilgrims, right? The story sounds cut and dry. Like, the Europeans came over here, they found a land that they loved, they wanted to settle, and they wanted to have a free country, and they shook hands with the North American Indians, or the Gadites rather, had some turkey and some cranberry sauce, and all was well in the land, right? And now there's more to it, right? Even when you learn it in school, but when you remember it and you recall it, that's how it feels. That's how it feels, as though they did it in some righteous manner, right? But the blood that they shed on this land, Boston, especially here in Boston, was insurmountable, man. Insurmountable. They're taking this up. The taking of this land wasn't a peaceful taking. They try to make it peaceful in their sneaky. Say it again. I can say it one more time.
Trying to make it sound peaceful.
Make it sound peaceful, right? And they signed peace treaties, and we want to buy this land and whatnot. But we know the truth of what happened was they went back on their word. Yeah, absolutely.
So that top line right there at the end, when it says, "We shall be, let's see,
A story and a byword through the world."
if they don't do the works according to
Yep.
their power."
Yep.
So that's going on right now.
Yep.
Because when you read Habakkuk 2 and
Yep.
6,
Start at 5.
2 and 5, it says, "He also, because he transgressed by wine,
Yep.
he's a proud man."
Right, he is a proud man. For anybody to come to a foreign land that has already been settled and then use the word founded, that's an arrogant statement, man. Read that verse again.
Habakkuk 2 and 5, it says, "They also, because he transgressed by wine,
Yep.
he's a proud man,
Right.
neither keep it at home."
Neither keep it at home. They should have stayed over there in Europe, man. And if you want to go even further back, they should have stayed in Seir,
Yeah.
right? Their own land. They were dedicated their own land, right? Keep going.
Who enlarged his desire as hell,
Right.
and is as death.
Right.
It cannot be
They
satisfied.
cannot be satisfied. So they didn't just take Massachusetts, but they moved down into Rhode Island. They moved down into Connecticut, right? And then what you call today the first 13 colonies, and then that wasn't enough. So you had the westward expansion, right? The Louisiana Purchase, and so forth and so on. They Florida, right? They kept going until there was no land left. From sea to shining sea, man.
I just want to read this
Mhm.
because you said it. It's the nerve of them to say that they founded this place. So just go into the definition, right? The definition of founded, all right, in its past tense, establish or originate,
Right.
especially to provide or empowerment. And I just want to read some synonyms of it.
Yep.
To set up, to start, to create, to form, to launch, to develop, to originate, you know, and they didn't start this place. This place has already been started. It was already developed. It was already formed. It was already cultivated. It was already a government structure. You know, it was already life was living here. You know, it was. Jake wasn't just here beating each other with billy clubs.
And what, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry to put you off. And what another thing too to note about, especially here in the north, the North Gad, when they were here in this land, they had documentation on how to govern each other. The story is they were savages and the Europeans came over here and had to civilize them, but they had documentation that governed this land, to govern the people of this land, and the documentation that America developed was based on the documentation from those North American Indians. When you get peace and pursuit of happiness and all of that stuff, all of those things were taken and developed from things that were already done, man.
Right, and the memoirs don't state what they created, because in Christopher Columbus' memoirs, he said he was so surprised to find out how densely populated the islands of what they dubbed Hispaniola was, how densely populated it was, but how clean it was. But they try to paint Jake as being a savage. But like the brother said, savagery is not a look. You know, you see the way Jake was dressing, and you see the savagery. Savagery is an act, and they acted savagely. You know, so regardless of how they think that we look, savagery is an act, and that's what they did. They were savages. They were the real savages.
They were the savages, right? But they paint the story as though, our people was,
If I may say this real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
To say that you founded something, when you found something, you actually found it. There's no inhabitation, there's nothing like that. Like you say, when you founded something, you're removing the neighbor's land.
Right.
Oh, I got it. Job 24 verse 2. So I'm not going to real quick. I think it's Job 24 verse 2. And he says, "Some remove the landmark, they violently take away flaws."
Right. Read that again.
He said, Job chapter 24 verse 2.
Yep.
He said, "Some remove okay, Job 24 verse 1. Why, seeing times are not hidden from the Almighty?
Yep.
Do they that know him not see his days? Some remove the landmarks,
Right.
they violently take away
Right.
flocks."
Now you look at this. If we have Founders Monument. Then up the block, what we did a couple of weeks ago was a Bruce Shaw Monument, right? You got if you go to the other side of the park, the public garden, you got the George Washington, his monument. He's sitting up on a horse, which we'll do sometime soon. Then you go all the way down Commonwealth Ave. You got monuments down there, but there's nothing left of the North American Indians. There's nothing left of there what they had here and what they cultivated. Now it kept the name. Massachusetts is a tribal name from Gad, right? But there's nothing left here from them, man. But they got their monuments up. Those are the stories that should be told. Those are the stories that are meaningful, because you got, when you have children, right, and they're learning about John Winthrop, right? They're learning about the so-called good he did, but not the fact that there was a people here that lived in this land comfortably before they got here.
That's right.
You know, go ahead.
Micah 2:1.
Yep.
Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds.
Yep.
When the morning is light, they practice it.
Right.
Because it is in the power of their hand.
Right. And it wasn't the power of their hand. It wasn't they had the power to exercise their wickedness. And to boot, this is Christianity. Because when these so-called Puritans were coming over here, what did they come with? They came with Christianity, man. That's right. They came with the Bible, man, with their skewed version of it. But they came with the Bible, which I'm gonna do a show too. I'll talk about it in the show. I don't want to. Let's go ahead. Read it.
Verse 2, and they covered fields
Yep.
and take them by violence,
Yep.
and houses.
They covered fields. They take it by violence. Now, the scriptures don't say Edom here, right? But ask yourself, who did this? Read that again.
And they covered fields.
Right. They covered fields, right? Boston at one time was a field. Matter of fact, where we are, this whole land was farmland. Where this guy, not John Winthrop, but my other guy here, William Blackstone, had farmland here, or farmland that he took, right? But now you see you got these brownstones, if you will, the concrete and pavement, right? Keep going.
And they covered fields.
Yep.
And take them by violence.
And take them by violence. How do you think the so-called Europeans were able to take over this land? I'm not going to call it America. This land, this body of land. How was they able to do it? They didn't do it nicely. They weren't friends, and if they were farce, so that they could do it. Matter of fact, keep going. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Now we brought this up with Habakkuk chapter 2 and 5. Yeah, also because he chose rest by wine, he's a proud man. He that keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and it says death. He cannot be satisfied, but gather unto him all nations. Now, if I may add, God knew the principle that everything belongs to the Heavenly Father. they were willing to give land to the so-called white people without any blood being shed, because it's in their memoirs. That's how they make the pact. They say, okay, you can have some of this land, we'll have this, we'll have that. But that goes and shows you that the so-called white man is the devil, because he wanted all. He wanted all. Okay? It's like the grave. You can always fit a body. The so-called white man always can have land. That's how he feels. Okay? Because God, they can never have too much land. So they come in, and whatever's in their heart, they go out and they seek and they do it, man. Ever since their inception, since Alexander the Great did the same thing, he went down over there, the ends of India. Their general was like, "Come on, guy, why you want to keep going over there?" He's like, "Man, we still got a lot to explore." Meaning what? Meaning they're gonna go over there, they're gonna explore that, and they're gonna exploit that, and then they're gonna keep going. Okay, they're a plague, man. They're a plague. No.
They even said it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, they even said it. They was like, you don't have to take all the land. There's plenty of land for us to have.
Everybody.
For everybody.
And even still, if you go up in an aeroplane and you just travel, and like an hour plane flight, you'll see miles upon miles of uncultivated land, man.
Especially in the mid-Queens.
Yep.
Montana,
Yep.
Idaho, Dakota, you can drive for miles and you see land.
Yep.
Right. And can't nobody do nothing with that land. You try to go establish a house and I'm gonna buy this.
Right, because look, what's funny about that, right? Because I was thinking about that earlier. Esau came here, like for instance, like this guy. I don't know if it's Winthrop or the other guy, Blackstone, but there was a grist mill that he built down in Connecticut. I think it was this other guy, Winthrop. He built a grist mill, which is basically how they make grain, how they cultivate grain, right? And what they called the deal that he got from that land was he was the first of his kind to monopolize that crop. So anybody that wanted to cultivate grain had to go through this guy Winthrop, and anybody that that was his posterity, if you will, his children, his grandchildren, great grandchildren, had to go through the Winthrop. As long as they took care of the land and they cultivated the land, that crop was theirs and belonged to them. Now, why can't I do that? If I go to Nevada where there's no land, but build me a little cabin or whatever crop or natural resources there, that's mine. Why can't I do that? I got to get permits. I got to get all kinds of stuff, man. You know?
And you might get denied.
And you're going to get denied. Ain't no might. You're going to get denied. Well, what is your reason? Because really, if you build in the land that's empty and vacant, why do I got to ask somebody for permission? You ain't using it. You know? Like that's what they did.
You know, like you said, Elder, when they took over the land, they made Gad pay for the land that they were already living on.
Right.
And they also took a lot of land and built the historical land, non-built.
Right.
Okay. So, and that being said, they're now making money off these lands by putting the historical parks and all these other, fugazi, setups to gain more money, man.
Yeah. I just finished this one right
Yeah.
here. Into what Brother's talking about.
So they oppress him. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage.
Yeah, and a man in his own house, like Ibaja just said, they took over the land and then made Gad pay for the land that they were already living on.
I have one here.
Calling them illegal aliens in their
Right,
own house.
right. Imagine that.
Oppressing them in their own house.
Imagine that. You got Issachar being treated like second-class citizens when this is their land.
And it says,
Proverbs 21:7. The robbery of the wicked shall destroy them, because they refuse to do judgment.
They refuse to do judgment, and it just be fair. That's all. If it had to happen where the Lord left it up to us, which that's not. But if He left it up to us, all we would be asking is for equality and fairness. Just be fair. Whatever standard you set for yourself, allow us to live by that same standard, right? That's all Jake wants. You see Jake there marching. Jake just want to be equal, right? But Esau, he wants everything. If it moves, if it breathes, if there's a way to make money off of it, he wants it all, man. He don't want to leave nothing for nobody.
That's a true sword, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's a true sword of destruction. That's what they got to do.
We'll go here and then we'll go there.
I got an article for you too.
Yep. This is Leviticus 25:23.
Yep.
The land shall not be sold forever, for the land is mine. For ye are strangers and sojourners with me.
I'm sorry, brother. Read it again.
This is Leviticus 25:23. The land shall not be sold forever.
Right.
For
The land shall
is
not
mine.
be sold. It belongs to the Heavenly Father. How do you sell a land that don't belong to you? It doesn't belong to you. And even Gad, they looked at Esau like, buy land. How do you go about buying land? It's not something you can pick up and I give to you and you give me whatever you're good at.
That was an unknown concept again at that time. They really couldn't wrap their head around how Esau could come up with that conclusion of buying land when the Lord created this land. He owns the land.
Right, because land is not like an accessory, it's a necessity. Likewise, water. Water is so much in abundance and it's a necessity. It's not like something, it's not an extracurricular activity.
But here's what Esau does, right? Here, matter of fact, where I went to high school, in Eastern Mass, Southeastern Mass, there's a natural water spring over there, right? Esau puts a building on top of it, puts the pipes and everything so he can, cultivate it and use the water. But how does that work? It's a natural spring. It's just here. Why can't I come with my jug, slip it down in the spring, come up, hold my jug, and walk off? He's a devil, man.
I wanted to say this too. Well, like when you get into land, your land is a place that you're supposed to pass on to your heritage. So you're supposed to pass it on to your children. That's supposed to be a place where you can abide, you can lay your head. That's supposed to be a place where you can cultivate and grow crops and grow food and grow cotton. That's your clothes. So it's a peace of mind. It's a territory. It's your fruits. It's your vegetables. It's bigger than how just Esau just puts. I got a piece of land and yeah, I'm that man. Like land was everything to our people. You know what I'm saying? Because it's where we lived. It's where it's life. You know, in itself. And we was harmonious with it, but we've so far removed from that way that it's just become a piece of property. You know.
Right. Back in the ancient time, when Israel was set up, each tribe had their lot of land. Then the Gad was here, and then the Judah was here, and then the Ephraim was here, and so on and so forth. As the brothers getting into, that was a part of our culture, man.
The head man of each family had 25 acres. Imagine that. 25 acres. That's from down where the school is up to up here.
Yeah. You know, we didn't worry about the stresses of eviction notices, or paying your mortgage, or paying your. That alone causes stress. Stress level to run through the roof, man. That's wicked, man.
Abraham and Lot, right? Abraham said, which land you want? What side you want?
I ain't tripping.
He said from here all the way, down that side. Okay, all right, I'll take this over here.
Take this side,
Nice and simple.
Yep.
I'm not gonna come over there.
I got my cattle, you got your cattle. I got my water, I got my piece of water. You got your. It's life, you know.
Right.
I got another precept. This is Deuteronomy 24.
I got you.
And I'm just going to 21. It says, when thou gatherest the grapes of thy vineyard, thou shalt not glean it afterward. It shall be for the strangers, for the fatherless, and for the widow.
You see? Hey, we was just riding through there, and you go right through Seaport, and you see I was talking to my old lady about it, and she said, no, it bothered me because Edomites they're dry anyway. But I said, what bothers me the most is how they just built the building that's taller than the tallest building in Boston, and they made it into luxury condominiums. But on the flip side of that is you got so-called housing prices or shelter prices or the poorness in the street. What bothers me is the equity of this place. Like you're so filthy rich, but how can there be people starving? There's no balance here. So that brings about a balance. That ensures that no matter how rich you are, you still, no matter what, you're still giving back to the poor. And this society is not built up like this. You can capitalist asylums. You could be as rich as you can. You don't got to give a dime back to nobody. Matter of fact, you take from the poor. You know. These rich people, Trump ain't paying taxes, Amazon ain't paying taxes, but you as a working man, you may make, I don't know, $700 a week. Out of that $700, $400 a week, that you giving that shit back to Uncle Sam, you know?
We're gonna read this. We're gonna go to the other side.
Well, I wanted to read this second quote, so let me hit this first, and then somebody get Malachi, then we can go to the other side. So it says, "Thus, out of small beginnings, greater things have been produced by his hand that made all things of nothing. And as one small candle may light 1,000, so the light here kindled has shown to many, yea, and some sort to our whole nation." Right. So this, when I was reading this earlier, reminded me of Malachi. So we'll hit that, and then we'll go to the other side. And we're gonna get this, but we'll go on the other side.
Psalms
We're
10.
gonna get this, but we're gonna go on the other side. Yeah, we'll hit this first, and then we'll go to the other side and read that one. Yep.
The book of Malachi, chapter 1, verse 1.
Yep.
The burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi.
Yep.
I have loved you, said the Lord.
Yep.
Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us?
Yep.
Was not Esau's Jacob's brother?
Yep.
Said the Lord. Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness.
Yep, keep going.
Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished.
We are impoverished.
But we will return and build the desolate places.
They will build the desolate places, and they did that, man. They put it on a hill. If you saw this neighborhood from Longfellow Bridge in this direction, right? You can see it. It's a big heap. It's a big heap. They put their city on a hill, right? This is where they founded it, and that's reminiscent of that. But like the Lord said in the scriptures, they will build, He will destroy, man. Keep going, and then we'll go back to the side.
Thus said the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down.
Yep.
And they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord have indignation forever.
Right. That's all right.
Keep going. Keep rolling.
What we got? 25?
Yep.
25 minutes? Yep. 25 minutes left? No, it's 25 minutes left. Alright, so this is the other side, right? On this side, this is the guy William Blackstone, and this is this guy with John Winthrop. John Winthrop, right? So this is the scene, but to take a look, you got Gad over here on the edges of it, right? Kind of like a
Afterthought.
Say it again.
Afterthought.
An afterthought, an accessory.
Always kneeling.
Always kneeling, right? Prostrated position, right? But here's the thing, right? Boston founded in 1630, right? But what about those people? They were there before 1630. Long before 1630. Long before 1600, long before 1500, 1400, when Columbus decided that, he wanted to take the excursion over here. These people were here cultivating this land, living on this land. That's the one story that they don't tell. Why do we tell the Gadite story, the North American Indian story, as one that says, oh yeah, it happened, but that's it. This is the biggest part of the story. That this land that we live in, Boston, right, Massachusetts, New England, was a land that was inherited, or not inherited, but inhabited by another people, and the people that came over here, they stole it.
That's right.
They stole it by ungodly means, by unfair means. We never bring that part of the story up. Look how it's a great scene. You see the guy, he's got the Bible in his hand. This guy over here, he's got his hand on the sword. They bringing the boats in on the shore. And I was thinking, I'm sorry, I said, make just one more point. I was sitting here and I was thinking about this monument. Yep. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and this comedian, he said really the black people, he said black people, but I'm gonna say Israelite people should be like insurgents. We should be flying planes in the building. We should be destroying this place because of the hell that we had to serve here, man. Gad especially, man. Yeah, they should be destroying this place, but they don't. Right? But our stories never get told. This is why this is a good thing that we're doing. We're going around Boston and we're telling our part of the story. But go ahead, bro.
So now, as you look at this photo, this picture right here, now clearly this was after Gad was subdued. Because if you look in the back here, they've already built their homes. They've already got their buildings of their so-called technology. And Gad, as you see, punched down in a submissive position. You see? So by the time this was actually photo, Esau was they already came and did what they had to do to wipe Gad out. Now they call for the rest of the troops to come over. So now I want to read this article that I have concerning this mural. Okay? And it says, commissioned for the 300th anniversary of Boston's founding. This piece depicts the city's first English resident, William Blackstone, greeting colonial governor John Winthrop and his company. Blackstone is considered the first white settler to have lived in present-day Boston. Winthrop originally landed in the area of Charlestown, north of the current city center, but he relocated and joined Blackstone after finding Charlestown unsuitable for settlement. Now, the elder had mentioned earlier that this was all farmland, because up towards that Charlestown area was all wetlands. So as they moved further south, they found it perfect to build here because the ground was stable, there was plenty of room, and they knew that this, if you will, manifest destiny was going to continue on. All right, so let me continue. It says, as Winthrop, the European settler, disembarked their ships, the Arabella floats in the background among the newcomers Anne Pollard. Now, this devil here was supposed to be Anne Pollard, and they classify her as the first white woman to come to America. Okay, and it's going to read on. It's going to mention a little more about her monkey ass. It says, among the newcomers, Anne Pollard, Boston's first white female inhabitant. Here depicted as a child, she was a woman at the time of her arrival. On the left of the main scene, two Native Americans obscure the Europeans' arrival to Shaman, renamed Boston. So Boston, before it was named Boston, was known as Shaman. It was a place called Shaman. And as you see the North American Indians off to the side. But peep out what it says now. It says, I'll start at, two Native Americans observed the Europeans' arrival to Shaman, renamed Boston, not yet aware of the impending devastation to their culture by the Europeans. You see that? not aware of the impending danger and devastation of the Europeans. Okay, so like I say, when this photograph was already taken, they would already destroyed Gad. Gad was already at the bottom. Okay, but when these devils first came over here, as the elder mentioned earlier, the reason why, and a few other brothers, the reason why they were calling them savages, because they was fighting like warriors, man. They was fighting like warriors. So much to the point they was scalping these devils. And these devils seen that kind of shit, like, these guys are savages. Okay? But this was Gad's land over here. And as Esau slowly subdued them, came down on them, and once again, man, we made mention on the other side, and how it said, if we roughly paraphrase it from the quote, if we don't obey our God's, authority that He gave us, clearly, Job 9:24. Because at the same time, you got to understand, Esau was set up for this, man. He was put in power to do just this very thing, to conquer and divide, man. Go ahead.
This is the book of Job, chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?
Right. So therefore, the earth was given unto the hand of the wicked. So they knew at that point in time, because even going back to 1492, when them devils came over here, they knew that expansion coming towards the west was going to be prosperous for them. Okay? And they knew that they're going to have to bring some muscle over here, because when word got back over to the east, they knew that these people of the Lord were already here, and they were valiant men. See?
I got some article for you, Art, that I want to bring out real quick.
Hold on. This brother was on deck with a scripture.
Okay.
Psalm 10, chapter 10, verse 7. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud.
Right. Esau's mouth has always been full of cursing, deceit, and fraud. Esau's the number one fraudster, if you will, man. Everything he does, and when we get down further in this article, there's going to be another scripture going to bring out, Lord willing. But just to prove that this devil's a fraudster, man. He can never lay claim or never just take a loss or never just admit, listen, these are the Lord's people. These people are better than we are. Go ahead, read.
Under his tongue is mischief and vanity.
Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. Now, going back to what the brother Elder mentioned, they have the Holy Bible, right? Now, think about this. Give me Jeremiah 14. Go ahead.
This is Psalms 50 and 16. But unto the wicked the Most High saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or to take my covenant in your mouth?
Right.
Seeing you hated instruction and kept my word behind you, when you say saw a thief, you consented with him, and been partakers with the dog.
Right. Well, this is the whole Edomite race, man, and all these other nations, these heathenistic nations that have come into the realm of Psalms 83rd chapter. This shit still continues on to this very day, man. There's nothing changed. That's why when you see it at the UN, it's at that level now where they're just coming in suits and ties. Okay? They're coming in suits and ties, and once again, going back from the book of Genesis, when there was enmity between the two in the womb. Okay? This shit exists to this very present day as we live and breathe here through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, as we live and breathe, that the enmity is still existing, man. We're gonna debate that because this is what the Heavenly Father wants. This is gonna be the grand finale, man. You know when you watch football, you got the Super Bowl, right? You got the two powerhouses coming together. Or you watch the World Series, you got the two powerhouses coming together. Okay? Now you got the end of the world, you have the two powerhouses coming together. Okay? That's good on that. What you said? Jeremiah 17:4. 17:4.
Jeremiah 17:4. And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee.
So hold on. So these devils came over here with Gad's heritage. They're holding Gad's heritage in their hand. Okay? And it was already foretold in that very book that he's holding that these men, the Lord's people, were going to be taken down, man. It was foretold in the book. You see? So read that again.
Jeremiah 17:4. And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee.
Right. Now, how are they going to discontinue from the heritage? Okay? We all know that all things are done through the hand of the Lord, but he used these devils as the prime suspects to vanish away that heritage that was solely deeply embedded in our people, man. Right. Read.
And I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not.
Right. So now you look at Gad. Look at Gad. He's bowing down. You know, when you bow down to somebody, you're putting yourself in a submissive position. A submissive position.
The same position that Judah was in at the,
Right.
at the Washington,
Right.
the Washington Lincoln one.
Right.
And that's
You
what
know?
that word bless means.
Right. To bow down.
Yeah.
You know.
And
So yeah, hold on. So yeah, continue.
And I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not.
Right. Now Gad ended up working for Esau, man. Gad ended up working for Esau back in these days. Okay? And you had Uncle Tomahawks who was going to Esau and giving intel on what Gad was doing, man. Gad was conspiring to throw these devils down, but you had these Uncle Tomahawks that was going to Esau and like, listen, this is what's gonna happen. They're gonna
This guy's
Squanto. Yep. You know? Go ahead.
Come. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever.
Okay, that's it on that. All right, I'm gonna come over. I'm gonna come here. Hold that, bro. I'm still gonna get to you.
This is in Genesis 49:1.
Yep.
And Jacob said unto his son and said, gather yourself together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Jumping down to 19, it says, Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at last.
Last, the troop gonna overcome. That basically that troop was that the United States military, if you will, the cavalry. That's what that was going to be. That troop that was going to overcome them. And as you see, they're coming in droves, man. They got their boats off the shores, you know, and they're just sending their little white women over here. They got their troops over here. And look at Gad. Gad's just looking at it like, damn, there's nothing we can do. That's the look of hopelessness right there. Knowing that that's their land, but there's nothing they can do. Because once again, it was prophesied that Gad was going to be taken down by a troop, man. Good.
If I can say one more thing, Gad didn't go out without a fight.
Of course
This
not.
guy had his house burned down by this guy. What they surnamed King Philip. I think his tribal name is Comet or something like that. They ended up burning the dude's house down. Not here, his house here, but his house down in I think it was either Connecticut or Rhode Island.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, this is in John 10:10.
Yep.
It says, the thief come not, but for to steal and to kill and to destroy.
Yep. Go ahead.
It says, I am come that they might have life, and they might have it more abundantly.
Right, Yahushua came over to the side of the world and visited Gad, man. So right now we're in that state where the Lord is now visiting us. Now we're coming back to life. Now we're coming back to our heritage. Now we're coming back to our Father and the Heavenly Son. Okay? We're having life. And at this point, Lord willing, we'll never see death again in the mere fact of the way of being separated from Yahushua. Because right now, being separated from Yahushua, we're in a dead state, man. When you're separated from Yahushua, you're in a dead state of mind. Just look at all those people out there in the world who don't know the Lord's true name, Yahushua's true name, who don't believe on the Lord. They walk around as dead men, man. They're walking dead men. But when you come back to this thing, when you come back to the Lord, you have life, man. And Lord willing, we continue to have and breathe that life through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You see?
I got it.
Go ahead, we'll come right around.
Psalms 50 verse 16. But unto the wicked the Most High said, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes?
Right, so why is this devil holding up the Holy Bible? Why is he holding up the Holy Bible? Because the Lord said unto the wicked, the Most High said, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes? Now the Lord's statutes, laws, and commandments is right in the Bible. It says the Holy Book, right? It's right in the Bible. You know, but this is what they use to subdue Gad and Jacob, all of Israel, man. They use that very book against us. Okay? You know, when you're a fighter, they always say you got to use your opponent's weight against him. So if the dude's heavier than you, you got to make sure you kind of maneuver so his weight is going to be a hindrance to him. That's the same thing they do with the Bible, man. They use their own weapon, the Israelites' weapon, against them. You see? Go ahead.
It says, but unto the wicked the Most High said, what hast thou to do to declare my statute? Or thou shouldest stick my covenant in thy mouth, seeing thou hatest instruction, and cast my word behind thee. When thou sawest a thief, then thou considered with him, and thou hast been partaker of adulterers.
That's it. That's them. That's Esau. Okay? Go ahead.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 36, verse 2. Thus saith the Lord power, because the enemy have said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession.
And that's exactly what they did when they came over here, when they went over to Israel. All these places that Israel was living, Esau came in and said, aha, we're going to take this down. But it was given unto them. The scriptures tell us the earth was given unto the hand of the wicked. They had the power to rule by the sword. And when you get the power to rule by the sword, especially through the Heavenly Father, when the Lord gives you that power, who's going to stop you, man? Ain't nobody going to stop you. But the Lord is setting the stage up for the grand finale, man. You know, so-called 4th of July, the grand finale, the fireworks. You know, they shooting off fireworks, you know, boom, boom, boom. That's what we're seeing right now. We're just seeing the fireworks. Shit going on, skirmishes going on. You know, Israel waking up. But that grand finale, them thermonuclear missiles gonna be over here, and that's what's gonna go down, man. And that's gonna be a sight to be seen from on high.
That's right.
You know, you gotta get a special ticket to see that sight.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
you gotta get a special ticket. You ain't gonna just. I mean, if you on ground zero looking up, you in trouble.
Right.
You in trouble when that day, man. You got something?
Yeah, I got
It says, verse 3, therefore prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord power, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that ye might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and ye are taken up in the lips of talkers, in the infamy of people.
You know, listen, going back to Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, that's a powerful film, man. That's a powerful and an emotional film. And when you see some of the pictures on some of the books you have, these devils kill Gad, right? To such a degree, when it snowed, you seen the frozen bodies of the Gadites, man. These devils had no remorse. They had no remorse and they had no feelings for the Lord's people, man. And that's why there's a big controversy right now. The Lord's got a controversy with the inhabitants of the earth for what they've done to his chosen people, man.
That's right. That's right.
Okay? We've become a possession. We got birth certificates, we got social security cards, you know, we got to give them all kinds of pay. From some brothers be working jobs. I used to do asbestos work and lead removal and all kinds of abatement work. I used to bust my ass up in them containments, man. Sweating bullets only to come out. Spiker done took some shit off my check. Some other motherfucker took some shit off my check. Why they getting the cut? They weren't in the containment. They weren't in the containment sweating bullets. You know? Grinding my hand down. You know? But this is how this devil operates, man. Hold on. I want this brother to come over here.
Now,
we're gonna carve that turkey, bro. We're gonna cut it all down.
Now, this is the article from Britannia.
Speaking of the turkey, it wasn't even the turkey that they ate. That's another lie that Esau pushes forth. You would think that, you know, there was turkeys at the table, and it wasn't, you know.
They said the cranberry, not to cut you off, they said the cranberry sauce represents the blood, and I forgot what the turkey represents.
They put the stuffing on it, you know, around it, you know. All rituals.
That's right. Yeah, okay, this is from Britannica.com, and the headline said Massachusetts people. And he says, North American Indian tribe that in the 17th century may have numbered 3,000 individuals living in more than 20 villages distributed along, which is now the Massachusetts coast.
So was it saying there was only 3,000 Native Americans here at the time?
On the Massachusetts coast.
But think about that, right? Yeah. When we came over here, we came in abundance. And what's the Lord? What's one of the commandments? Be fruitful and multiply. So you mean to tell me these devils want to see? That's the devil trying to diminish the numbers to make it seem like there was nobody over here. Oh, there was just 3,000 of them over here. But we was all throughout this region, man. All throughout Massachusetts, man. When you go down, even down in Connecticut, we was all throughout these colonies, these so-called 13 colonies, man. Talk about you damn devils, only 3,000 lived here.
How many years? Real quick. Hosea 1:10. It says, yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea.
You think when they came over here, they stopped reproducing? They came here to find a land where they can worship, where they can come to be in their own realm, if you will.
How many years?
So
how many years passed since they came to Arsareth?
Right.
Many years.
Right. So when they came over here because now they was free from their oppressor. And when you're free from your oppressor, you can be fruitful and you can multiply. Because as we was talking about, the land is a part of our culture, having a piece of land in possession. That's when you're fruitful. You have your wife, you have your children, and they grow up and they have their children, and that land gets passed down. You know, this is cheap tomahawk or whatever's land, so on and so forth.
You know?
And also, Elder, too, there's pictures that you could look up that you had Gad with like at least like 3 or 2 wives.
Yeah.
They knew the law. Yep. So, you know, if you have 3 or 2 wives, you know, you multiply. Right. You know, you may have like come out with like at least like 7 or 8 kids.
Right. Go ahead, brother.
On a documentary on the History Channel, they claim there was 60 million so-called Native Americans, and there's only under 1 million left after what Esau did.
That sounds more like it.
Yeah. Now it's on History Channel.
I got it right here.
But Esau's never going to tell the truth because the brother Red is nothing but lies and deceit, man. He's going to make lies and deceit on everything. As they say, they're going to fudge the numbers because it gives them peace and it gives them a peace of mind knowing that all the atrocities and all the people that they murdered, they don't feel as bad. So when they say, oh, 3,000, you know, that was nothing, a drop in the bucket. They didn't know what they was doing when we got over here.
If you look at the, if you type in Google and look at the so-called dominant race here in America, who has the most numbers, you're gonna see Esau coming out. We know that they're not the most because there's more so-called minorities than there is so-called white people. There's so many that they're liars. They're always gonna say that they're more in number. They're gonna say when the scriptures tell you that they were the least among everybody. Among all the heathens, among everybody.
They say he that is younger than me will have me in the Christians. Go ahead, bro. Let's finish with this thought.
And then to the point, and he says the tribe was decimated by a pestilence in 1617.
Go figure. The tribes were decimated by a pestilence. So in other words, it gives them justification when they say there was only 3,000 people here. So where did this disease come from? Where did this pestilence come from? Because prior to you devils getting over here, there was no pestilence over here. There was no disease going on over here. They was living healthy.
And he said a smallpox epidemic in 1633 wiped out most of the remaining members of the tribe, right, including the chief.
And it is known that these devils came over with smallpox in the blankets. We know that's to be true. Okay? So in other words, what Esau did was he put smallpox in the blanket and killed 3,000 people. According to Esau.
That's right. Just put it in the blankets and treated, offered it as presents.
No, sure he did. Sure he did. That's what the devil does. He's a deceiver. He's gonna tell you, here, we got some gifts for you. Meanwhile, it's like the modern day fucking anthrax. That's right. Put that shit in an envelope, you send a letter off to somebody, they open it, they got that powder all over the place, people start choking and gagging and shit. Alright, that's it on that? Alright, so we're gonna get some more, we're gonna come right down the line. Come right down the line. So I'm gonna get back to my I want to show them to you.
That's a little segment from an interview where it says where the white man went wrong. And it says the Indian chief, the two eagles, was asked by a white USA government official, you have observed the white man for 90 years. You've seen his wars and his technological advance, and you've seen his progress and the damage that he has done. And the chief nodded in agreement. And the official continued and said, consider all these events in your own opinion. Where did the white man go wrong? And the chief stared at the government official, then replied, he says, when the white man find land, Indians run it. No taxes, no debts, and plenty of buffaloes, plenty of beaver, clean water. Woman did all the work. Medicine man free. Indian man spent all day hunting and fishing, all night having sex. Then the chief leaned back and smiled. Only the white man dumb enough to think that he could improve a system like that.
That's perfect. You know, that's the damn sure truth. He gonna take a perfect system, running system, and turn it into shit. Okay, go ahead.
Jeremiah 50 verse 33, thus said the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go.
That's it. They refused to let them go, and they were still captives, man. You can't do it. You know, you got some brothers, man, some people from Israelites talking about their sovereign and they don't have to abide by Esau's laws and they don't need a driver's license and all this other shit. You're full of shit, man. You're full of shit. You're gonna get yourself bust over there with a bully glove, a baton, or whatever you call it. You know, driving around in Esau's kingdom talking about I don't need a license. It's like, what do you think's gonna happen, man? What do you think's gonna happen? Matter of fact, there was on YouTube this black chick who was going down that same path. And Esau was fucking with her. And sure shit, they ended up killing him. You know, they had it on record. They recorded the whole thing. You got something to say, brother?
Okay. Make it more in
something. Yeah. Well, the scripture, you know, I know Elder Marv said, you know, they normally, the history, they sweep under the rug of the Gadites, because ultimately, the Judites, the so-called Native American, the so-called African Americans, and the children of Israel were all pressed together. You know, they have the same oppressor. So they try to sweep them under the rug, so we not knowing that they're Israelites and they are the common enemy. Right. They're the devil that the Bible speaks of.
The old saying is divide and conquer. Right. And all these, and that's what they did. They turned all the tribes against each other, man. Right. You know, they turned all the tribes against each other. So much so,
especially in New York State. You had the Mohawk Indians, so-called. There was another tribe up there. They Esau came. Yeah, they always was fighting, but Esau came and they used that to their benefit.
Right. So much so when you have Jake Judites saying, "Yeah, get the Mexicans out of here." You know, they illegal immigrants. You got Jake rising up, talking about, yeah, they gotta do something. This is crazy. You know, but once again, that's that divide and conquer.
Even in the islands, even in DR, you got some Dominicans fighting against other side of the island, this and that and the third. You know, the Haitians, the so-called Haitians. You know, it's all a big smash.
Go ahead, brother. What you got?
Yeah, I got.
Come right down.
Zechariah, chapter 1. I'm gonna start at the 14th verse. So the angel that communed with me said unto me, cried out, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with a great jealousy, and I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at east, for I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies, my house shall be built in it, saith the Lord of hosts, and a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem.
And that's it. That's exactly what they've done. After this, we'll get back to my argument.
Yeah, Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword.
And by the force of the sword. That's what was given to Esau to rule the world, man. And by the sword shalt thou live. And that's a damn true statement, man. Even to this very present day, you got Esau running amok, dropping bombs and drones and missiles and rockets. Okay? That's how he advances. Because let me tell you something. If the so-called playing field was made level, Esau had no weapons and we had no weapons, come on, man. But the Lord has set this
just hand-to-hand?
Yeah, just hand-to-hand combat. Close up in quarters. But the Lord has set this up for a reason. Lest any man touch Cain, he said, right?
That's right.
So therefore, Esau, he knew there was going to come a point in time where the world was going to hate this devil. But because the Lord gave him that sword and that weapon, you ain't going to run up on somebody with a gun in their hand. This ain't going to happen. You ain't going to run up on somebody that got a sword in their hand. You're going to go, oh, shit, you got that money? That's on you. You got that money. You know, you're going to lay back. And that's what Esau does. Esau goes and flexes his muscle with his military. All these other nations kind of lay back. Go ahead, brother.
Revelation 6, verse 4. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword.
And there's that sword again. Okay, it was given unto him a sword, and that sword is also mentioned back in the book of Genesis. By the sword shalt thou live. Okay? So we understand that that's how he runs, man. That's why he's not afraid of anybody. That's why he walks around with his chest poked out. That's why he puts his eagle on the goddamn, tallest buildings on his flag, because he's not afraid of anybody.
That's why you gotta go get that Gatling gun.
That was his blessing. What you got?
Yeah, I got some more. By the force of the sword, in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Verse 6.
That's it, yeah. So we know the time our iniquity had an end with Esau, he forwarded the affliction. He made it so that now he made himself as the Heavenly Father. And since he's done that, this is what you get, man. This is what you get. These devils coming over here in these high-ranking positions, if you so-called will. All right, you got something else?
Lamentation chapter 2 verse 15.
Hold on, brother, I want to get back to this too.
Lamentation 2 verse 15.
Go ahead.
All that pass by clap their heads at thee, they haste and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem.
Now hold it right there. Now don't you think they did the very same thing when they came over here so-called Boston, previously known as Shaman. Don't you think they did the same thing? When Gad was in this crouching position and looking down and looking humble, they're like, look at these. They had a nerve to call Gad the Red Man. Well, these devils is the red ones, man. That's right. And that's another thing, another deceivable fact that Esau has put forward. He wants to call the Israelites the red man, knowing that red represents evil when you read the scriptures, okay? Red and hairy, Esau. Try to portray, now as you go through the scriptures, you read about the judgment of Edom, Esau, Edom. He tried to disassociate himself from being that red man.
That's right.
Good. Lamentation 2 verse 15. All that passed by clapped their heads at thee, they hastened while their head at the door of Jerusalem.
They do that to this very day, man. You got the homeless Israelites all on the side of the roads. All they do is walk by and they look at them like, good for nothing. These guys are bum. They need to get a job. That still continues to this very present day. Something that was written over 2,000 years ago. That's why we know. That's why the scripture says, the Lord said, the word of the Lord is quick and powerful. That word quick means alive. Because it's never dying, man. This word will never die. Go ahead.
Right. Saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty?
Right, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty? Because now, look at us in our lowest state. People look at us, they don't even consider us the Hebrew Israelites people. They don't even consider us the Lord's people. We're just blacks, Puerto Ricans, you know, illegal immigrants. That's how they look at it. You know? But when the Europeans came over here, they didn't realize that it took a year and a half to come over here from the east. And when they got here, they were dying.
Good. Is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? All thy enemies have opened their mouth against thee. They hasten gnash their teeth. They say, we have swallowed her up. Certainly, this is the days that we look for.
Right, they have swallowed the children of Israel up. Certainly, these were the days we had looked for. And this is a prime example of the days that they looked for. Esau joining hand in hand as you see them coming together, reading the Holy Bible, which was the Lord's children's book, the children of Israel's book, their heritage, bringing all their cohorts and their so-called soldiers over here. Why are you bringing soldiers over here? Because you have to have some might to combat or to fight the opposition that was already on the land. Okay? So this is a big lie right here. This is a big lie what we're reading here. Boston was founded in 1630. Is that it on that? Go ahead.
It says, certainly this is the days that we look for. We have found, we have seen it. He said the Lord had done it. The Lord had done that which he had devised. He had fulfilled his word that he had committed in the days of old. He had torn down, it had not pity, it had caused thine enemy to rejoice over thee.
Right. They rejoiced over the children of Israel when they was in slavery, when the North American Indians were put into slavery, brought back over to Spain. Okay, so to catch you up on, to speed you up, the so-called Negroes in America are the true biblical Hebrew Israelites. Okay, now we're reading an account when all the other nations laughed, they wagged their hands, they hissed, they made them a commodity, they put them on auction blocks. They've done all these things to the children of Israel. Likewise, North American Indians that were here in the land first. They were here first. So you can't found a land or discover a land when somebody else is living in it.
Exactly.
If a thief goes into a house and breaks into a house and says, I'm going to lay claim to this house. But wait a minute, you got a man sleeping in the bank. How can you lay claim to a house that's already occupied?
Yeah.
That's what Goldilocks did. Right. Goldilocks is double too. All right, well, hold that. Let me just get a little bit of heat. Let me get a little bit off this phone here, real quick. So I want to go back to this article. And it says, I'm going to focus on here. It says, so Boston was originally named Shaman before it was named Boston. I'm right.
It's the Indian name.
Right.
On the right, a female figure representing Boston looks on.
This woman here, this was the female figure that represented Boston, looking on these two individuals shaking hands. Go ahead.
Accompanied by a soldier.
Yep, accompanied by a soldier. You see the soldier back there with a spear? Why is he coming with a spear? Because these men over here on this side, these people on this side, were the enemies to these devils. Go ahead.
together, the female figure and the soldier symbolize the growth of the city and the protection of its inhabitants.
Now, when you look at the Massachusetts flag, you see an arm, a flexed arm with a sword in it, and it has a Latin quotation, and it says translated by force, by the sword, be ruled by force. Roughly paraphrasing. Okay, so that's what they did. They came, they ruled by force. You know, and that was a perfect symbol to be used, an arm with a sword in it. Okay, because anybody that was opposed to the way that these devils was living, off with their head. So that's why when you see the United States flag, I mean the Massachusetts flag, that's what that sword represents. Go ahead.
Says interestingly, the depiction of William Blackstone resembles James Curley,
right? Now,
mayor of Boston at the time of the commission.
Right, the commissioner. What he did was, when this whole thing was being erected, he put himself inside the damn picture. Okay?
Probably was him though.
He put himself inside the reincarnation. He put himself in the reincarnation. See? Go ahead.
It says the memorial's reverse side is inscribed with quotations by Mayor Curley, John Winthrop, and William Bradford,
right,
governor of Plymouth Colony.
Right, we read that earlier. But all in all, to wrap this thing up in a nutshell, all in all, this depiction of these so-called settlers coming over here, they came over here because they knew that it was going to be a position of, as we said earlier, the Lord setting them up to come over here to rule the side of the earth and to live by the sword as they had it. All right? Anybody got no description?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
No, not this. Go ahead. This is what we've been waiting for a while.
I got it. I got you, brother.
Oh, yeah. This is Psalms chapter 59, verse 11. It says, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever,
right,
and their dwelling places to all generations.
Right, and that's their inward thought. And it still exists to this very day, because they passed all their inheritance down to their sons, down to their daughters, and that's what it means by their inward thoughts, is that their house shall continue forever. Okay? Just look at so here in Massachusetts, you got the Adams family, UK, you got the Kennedys, okay? They're still prospering to this very day from what their forefathers had done back in the 1600s, right? You go down to Martha's Vineyard, you go to Block Island. These are all prestigious places where the average individual such as us, we ain't got no we don't have the funds to go buy a home over there. You're looking at about $4 or $5 million for a one-bedroom cottage over there, man. You know, and now I was speaking to one of the ladies. Now this hill, which is known as Beacon Hill, it was previously known as Nigger Hill, because all black people lived here.
Exactly. Yep.
So there was a young lady, there was an older woman over here who I was speaking to. So in 1994, she bought a piece of the brownstone over here. She bought that, and she bought it for $127,000. She told me this. So she says, do you know how much it's worth today? I said, I have no idea. What is it worth? She says, $8.5 million. So basically, when you go down Mass Ave, right down by the hospital, there was brownstones over there. And those brownstones were full of all black people.
Yeah, when I came to this country, they were selling for $10,000.
Right.
The brownstone was selling for $10,000.
Yeah, go figure now. Now that you got the hospital over there,
an apartment in one of them is more than $1 million.
Yep. Go figure. Right. So when you go down the brownstones down on Mass Ave, right by the hospital, those were all black people in there. And it got so bad. What happened was it got so bad that the landlords let it just become dilapidated. It just was horrible. They weren't fixing it.
The reason why they were not fixed is because they could not get loans. There's something called redlining.
Right.
They couldn't get loans, so the buildings stay empty and dilapidated.
Right. But if you go deeper into it, there was a reason why they weren't getting these loans, because the big picture was the Boston, the medical, the hospitals coming, the medical, the students, because they knew those brownstones were going to turn out to be big money. So all of a sudden, they couldn't get a loan. Now there's loans being given, and these things are being renovated. So much so you gotta pay, at the time, you was paying $4,000 a month for a room. And to buy it, you gotta pay $1 million. You see? But
there are people in Boston here that I know who bought a house for $1.
Yeah.
Bronx too.
Yeah, go figure. Yep.
Would they disrespectful you say with the children?
I can't remember what I said.
That's because
I can't remember. But anyway, we're gonna come over here.
Not the one.
Psalms chapter 10 verse 8 says in lurking places of the villages, in the secret places, doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor.
Right, his eyes are privily set against the poor. You know, our enemies are always seeking to find some accusation against us. Okay, that's what our enemy does. He seeks to have accusations against us. Okay, and that's what we have. Some shit. Look what's going on in Boston. You know, but the Lord imparted us with spirit of wisdom and understanding. We have the eyesight to see through nonsense. Go ahead.
He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den.
Right, he lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. Yeah. He lying in wait over here like a lion in his den, waiting to pounce. You know, can you say that again? Can you say that again? So he can go to one of these newscasters or whatever the hell he's going to do with it. We don't care though. You can do whatever you want. You want to film us, you know? But this is what we come to do, man. We've come to be spectacles of the world as the Lord said we were going to be. We are made a spectacle unto the world. And while we're being that spectacle, we're bringing out the history of these devils, of their life, of their wickedness, and all the unrighteous deeds that they have done, man. You know, the elder mentioned earlier, what about the Native Americans? What about the natives? We're seeing all these murals, all these statues, and all these, you know, these big, you know, fancy, erected, you know, elaborate, you know, brick, stone carved, all with Esau, all with the devil. Knowing damn well if it wasn't for these people on this side right here, if it wasn't for these people, these devils would have died by the time they came over here. But they don't mention that in your school system. They don't mention that in the city of Boston. Alright? Who got something else? Go ahead. You got something too? Go ahead.
Numbers 35:3. So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it.
There's nothing these devils can do, man. The scriptures say that he shall seek to please the poor. But there's nothing you can do. In other words, the only thing that can be done to rectify this is your blood being shed and a thermonuclear missile destroying this place. That's the only thing that's going to correct this place, man. We're going to spill some of yours first, but then the thermonuclear missile is going to clean this place up. It's going to clean it up. Get rid of all you devils over here in one fell swoop. Go ahead. That's what you had, that's the spirit. Your brother had the same thing. But Lord willing, you brothers edified. We're going to move on to the next. We don't know which, you know, statue or monument we're going to be at, but we're going to bring it to you. I guess we're going to dub the channel GMS Field Trips, which is appropriate. So we're going to go around and brothers pay attention, you know, look at the history, look what we're bringing out, because all this history, as we stated a couple weeks ago, Boston is the foundation of the United States of America, if you will. Okay? It's the spirit of America. Alright, so with that, we're going to give all praise to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Makakadosh.
Double honors and head apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to all the brethren on the highways and byways doing the work sincerely and faithfully and continually fighting the good fight of faith. We almost out of here, Lord willing. We're finding that number. But until then, we're going to keep pushing on. We say shalom.
Shalom.